Good evening, I'm Keisha Buds with a CTV News update. AAA Mid-Atlantic says there's been an uptick of deadly car crashes on Indian Head Highway, according to AAA's John Townsend. 3 people were killed on Route 210 in all of 2019, and he says that was the lowest level in years. But so far this year, there have been 5 fatalities, including 3 pedestrians. The latest incident was Monday night when a female pedestrian was struck and killed by a motorist.
Well, those numbers tell us that the progress we thought we had been making on Indian Head Highway has dissipated. The number of fatalities has increased this year after decreasing last year, which reached a low water mark for the first time in almost a decade. You had the lowest number of fatalities. And then already into this year, and we're just 9 months in, and we already have a 60% increase in the number of fatalities. What's also troubling this year on Indian Head Highway is the fact that 3 of the 5 fatalities were pedestrians.
Townsend says so far this year, 5,000 speed camera tickets have been issued on Route 210. Maryland can start phase 3 of reopening in the next few days. Governor Hogan cited declining positivity numbers and several COVID-19 health metrics for his decision during a press conference late yesterday afternoon. The news means all Maryland businesses will be able to reopen and increase capacity starting this Friday at 5 p.m.
Movie theaters and live entertainment venues will be able to begin safely opening at 50% capacity, or up to 100 people at indoor venues, or 250 people at outdoor venues, both with appropriate health and safety guidelines in place. In addition, all retail stores, as well as churches and houses of worship, will be able to increase capacity from 50% to 75%.
Individual jurisdictions can opt out. Howard County has already announced it plans to open on Friday. Prince George's County Executive Angela Ossobrooks will hold a press conference tomorrow to announce her decision on reopening. Montgomery County Executive Mark Elbridge said he was surprised by the governor's announcement, and he will need time to review the data before deciding whether to move on to phase 3. In an effort to halt the spread of the coronavirus, the Centers for Disease Control issues an order putting a stop to residential evictions through December. The order does not prevent the collection of late fees, penalties, or interest due for failure to pay rent. Up to 40 million renters are at risk of eviction across the U.S., including about 274,000 households in Maryland. To avoid eviction under the order, tenants must meet several criteria, including proof of substantial loss of income. The order came just 1 day after court cases resumed in Maryland for those behind on the rent prior to the pandemic. As the pandemic continues, the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission continues to suspend service shutoffs. WSSC is also waiving late fees to help people who are struggling financially. It's asking customers who have higher than normal water bills to contact them to establish convenient payment plans. WSSC says it included more than $300,000 in this year's budget to help customers struggling to pay their water and sewer bills. A new global survey using NASA data shows a dramatic increase in glacial lakes. As glaciers melt and retreat due to climate change, researchers using 30 years of NASA satellite images found that the volume of these lakes has increased by nearly half and could pose a hazard to communities downstream.
What we found was that there was a large increase in area of glacial lakes throughout the world. Almost every region had an increase in the area of glacial lakes and an increase in the number of them. 48% increase in volume is the number we came up with globally, and almost every region in the world is showing an increase from the 1990s to the 2000s to recent years. When you have that much water released in a short period of time, the floods can be extremely destructive. And so they wash out hydroelectric power plants, they wash out bridges, highways, villages. And so this is a big concern in places like Nepal and Peru and Switzerland. We know that climate change is driving this. And some of that climate change goes back 200 years, but a lot of it is driven by the last few decades of very, very rapid human-caused climate change.
The researchers analyzed more than 250,000 images from Landsat satellite missions. Steep cuts are coming to MARC train service and regional bus lines in the Baltimore area. The Maryland Department of Transportation has proposed a reduction in MARC train service and 11 bus routes in the Baltimore region. Also, dozens of bus lines would be cut. The MTA says the changes are needed because of the unprecedented decline of transportation revenue due to the pandemic. Local leaders in the Baltimore area say the changes will disproportionately impact poor Black and Brown residents. Public hearings on the MARC changes have not been announced yet. 10 virtual public hearings will be held for proposed changes to bus service on October 15th and 16th. State transportation officials have settled on 3 potential sites for a new Chesapeake Bay crossing. According to a state report, building a 3rd span adjacent to the current bridge is the leading contender of the 3 options. Officials say that the plan would provide the most traffic relief and cause less environmental damage. Governor Larry Hogan says building a 3rd span is the only serious way to reduce bridge backups. The cost of a 3rd span would be in the billions of dollars. Maryland State Police have released the identity of the trooper who fatally wounded an impaired driving suspect on I-95 near Route 100 on August 11th. He is Trooper Robert Kresmer and has been with the force for 3 years. The driver who was killed is Julio Moran Ruiz of Baltimore. Investigators say when the trooper reached into Moran Ruiz's car in an attempt to stop him, the driver sped off, dragging Kresmer 2,000 feet. The trooper managed to fire his weapon into the car, killing the driver. The investigation continues. TSA announces a new pilot program involving new touchless technology. The self-service device will allow travelers to place their photo ID into a scanner for verification. The device will confirm your identity and flight information. Officials say the goal of the new technology is to provide a safer checkpoint experience. The pilot program is currently being used at Reagan Airport. Well, switching gears, all county-run COVID testing sites will be closed next Monday because of the Labor Day holiday. The health department currently operates 6 sites around Prince George's. The state-run COVID testing location at Six Flags America will also be closed on Monday. Well, a nonprofit founded by 2 young ladies from Prince George's County has donated more than 300 thank you cards and masks to hospitals and senior centers. The name of the organization is C&K Health Services. Nanette and Crystal Amy here actually founded the organization about 2 years ago when they realized there were not a lot of youth advocates since the pandemic. Since the pandemic, they started an initiative called Let's Make Masks. With the help of more than 100,000 volunteers, they sent out thank you cards and masks to essential workers, seniors, and people in homeless shelters.
Some of them can't see their families or see their friends out. Like, we just wanted to let them know that they're not alone and that we can actually get through this together. Many people in the facilities and the hospitals and the senior care centers who are alone, and it can get very isolating at times. And through giving cards, I feel like it can bring light and joy to their lives and also put a smile on somebody's face.
The sisters say they are looking for more volunteers. C&K Health Services is a worldwide organization with ambassadors in at least 7 different countries. Free meals are available for county students today through December 31st. Multi-day meals are available for pickup on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. That's except for this coming Labor Day on Monday. All schools will serve as pickup sites except for Fort Foote, Glass Manor, Tayek Elementary, and Robert Goddard Montessori. For more information, visit pgcps.org.
We know that children learn, they're like sponges for new words. And so these new words come by way of the kinds of interactions that they have either in the school and classroom learning or with their friends on the playground. But again, those kinds of interactions are more limited these days. And so, as Josh pointed out, children are spending a lot more time on the iPad, with TV, on YouTube. And so that's a different kind of learning environment.
And that's your CTV News Update. I'm Keisha Butts. Have a good night.
For the latest information on COVID-19 in Maryland, visit the State Health Department website. That's health.maryland.gov. Again, health.maryland.gov. Click the link to the COVID-19 information portal. There you'll find all the latest information about coronavirus. You'll find daily updates on cases and fatalities. Answers to questions about testing and the governor's stay-at-home order are available as well. For specific information about Prince George's, visit princegeorgescountymd.gov. That's princegeorgescountymd.gov. The site offers information about local services for residents and businesses. There's a link for COVID-19 relief donations. Also, food pantry locations are listed. And if you have any questions, call the county COVID-19 hotline at 301-883-6627. That's 301-883-6627.
My God.
It's another sad day in America.
Painful to be introduced to George Floyd during his last breath.
With a cop's knee on his neck. He deserves so much more.
How many black lives have to be taken before something is done?
We are not a threat.
I am shaking as I type.
This has got to stop.
We are sick of it.
We need conviction.
I just want us all to live.
The deaths will not stop until the powers that be are finally held accountable.
Don't look away from the truth until every one of us are free from white supremacy.
The world stands with you. Aucune pitié, aucune compassion dans son regard et dans son
Criminalizing and killing of black and brown bodies is not new. It's as old as America. It's just getting filmed more.
Do you know what it feels like to be hunted? To have a new hashtag for a dead black person every single day? How does one plan a life if they aren't sure they will have a life to plan?
Deborah Dan,
Nina Pop, Stephen Clark, Nia Wilson,
Keisha Mike,
Christopher Dion,
George Floyd. His name was George Floyd. Say his name.
Say his name.
George Floyd. Say his name.
Say their names. Once again and always, we fight for justice. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Rest in power, beautiful.
Go to blacklivesmatter.com.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that after 75 years, Smokey's only said,
"Only you can prevent wildfires."
But I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when there are parched or windy conditions out there, you gotta be extra careful with things like burning yard waste. After all, wildfires can start anywhere, even in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Children are spending more time at home. Teachers, parents, neighbors, and friends, it's up to you to keep them safe. Now more than ever, it's important to stay connected. By phone, video chat, and social media. If you have concerns or see changes in a child, be there for them. Ask questions. Seek help. Report suspected child abuse or neglect.
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him. He's gotta come home with me. Not anything but lonely. Every day with Turtle is a perfect day and keeps me company when I'm doing schoolwork. I like it when he jumps up on the table too. He is a veggie thief. He's an incredible companion and my best friend. Can't say that I've met anybody that doesn't love him too. When I adopted Turtle, I discovered all the things that make him unique. He's a little bit of a lot of things, but mostly he's all pure love.
It's so sad. It's not.